So I started 2023 around May. I did a song with my kids. That day, I think we were doing skibidi kidding, skibidi kidoo. I love you. And then I posted it. And for the first time, I didn't know how to use like TikTok sana. For the first time, nikaona, imefika 100 likes. Oh my God. Then I posted another one. This one, ikapata 500 likes, and I was like, I think this is it.
Yeah.
I did another one. That video, I remember it was on a Sunday. Nika tu nimelala, that day I didn't go to church. Naona ka account kana grow, so and so followed you. Nikafikanga 1,000 followers. Wow. And I was like, from 300 to 1,000. This is it, I think. Alafu najua ukipata 1,000 and like imefika sasa.
Yeah.
So the more niliendelea kuendelea nayo, the results were good. So nikaendelea 2023, 2024. So I was only active on TikTok. Instagram and Facebook ilikuwa kidogo. Instagram nimeanza kutumia last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So around Feb last year, my account was hacked. My TikTok account. So yeah, it was hacked. And then I started again on March 6th.
What motivated you to use social media? Was it a need to show this side of a teacher's life?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to show how you interact with your students?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the main motivation? Or was it your friends? Like, I'm taking advantage. This one is sleeping.
So when I was starting, sometimes when you're starting something, you don't see it going in. You're just doing it for fun. Mm-hmm. And this fun turns to something else and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
So one thing I realized when I was teaching this, I found parents saying, I taught this my daughter. Like, I gave my daughter this, I gave my son. Like, we are learning from you. Other teachers give you those testimonies. Like, teacher, I'm really learning from you. And I was like, so there are things that I can share online. And I'm not just teaching within the four walls of the class, but I'm teaching out there. And then again, I had a meeting with myself and I was like, the world is turning to a digital world. Why can't I just take that nini?
Yeah.
And then kuangalia, not many teachers who used to do that. Like, it's rare you find teachers online. And I was like, then let me just do this. I might help someone out there. I will help a parent out there to teach their child in at home. I'll help a teacher afunza akiwa darasani. Like you just share, because hata mimi I learn every day. I show maybe other teachers there is another way of making learning fun. And so that is my motivation, because I feel like I'm not only teaching this child in class, but also another child out there.
Yeah. Because I also became a huge fan.
Oh, thank you.
I'm class myself.
Thank
I'm learning
you.
the East African anthem along with the students. Okay. So how has your perspective on teaching evolved since you began using TikTok as a platform?
Well, it has made me to do more research on teaching. It makes me like, sometimes ukifunza, like you stick to what you are taught in college. It makes me look at what other teachers are doing outside our country, developed countries. How do they do how is their education? Like at the moment, honestly speaking, most of the people do not understand the new system. And not only parents, but also we teachers, at times we are stuck. And even like generally, we are stuck. Even the developers themselves, sometimes you're like, not sure. So let me just, at some point there's some guesswork. But ukiangalia like this is what you're supposed to do, you're like, let me try and borrow from another country how they do things, and then I introduce it to my children. Nione kama ita work. And it has, for me, I can say it has really worked for me and for my children. And most of the time I can say, and it has made me realize like teaching, it's not all about coming and telling children like 1 + 1 is 2, but you realize education ni kubwa. Like you have to build confidence ya mtoto, you have to keep on encouraging them. Like kuna mtoto hapati love from home, that love lazima ilete class. There's a lot. And I think hapo ndio naweza sema ime-evolve.
It has expanded you.
Yeah, even my thinking, the way I view things differently. Because even some teachers will atakwambia, teacher, try this, try that, try, and actually it works. And I can say even the way I think and I do it is ime change.
The transition, first of all, the face-to-face learning, then to online learning, that period from 2020 to 2021. How did you get into that?
Okay, so I can say that time nili struggle juu unaona sikuwa najua kutumia laptop and everything and kunavigate within Zoom, Google Meet. I didn't know. But for me, when I'm asked, most of the time I prefer one-on-one. One-on-one, there is that, like, you feel me. If I tell you I'm mad, I'm mad. If I'm happy, you'll see it, I'm happy, you know. Online me ilinisumbua. And at the moment, I don't think I'm ready to teach someone online. The only person I can teach online ni adults. A child, you can't tell me, they will sit there on the screen, listening, learning. I think it's hard. I know they can watch cartoons for hours, but if I'm the one talking, I don't think it can work for me. For me, online now, not unless something comes up, and maybe there's a way of keeping this child engaged.
Now, how did you overcome that struggle?
Oh, that struggle, online. That time I had a friend, and this friend at least alikuwa anajua. You know, ni ile sijaguza laptop, like sijaiguza laptop, ndio imeletwa. So you know nothing. So this friend of mine alikuwa ananiambia, hapa ni unaweka wifi, unawasha hapa, una mute hapa, unafanya hivi. Classes ikikam, you present it like this is how you share the screen. Hivyo. So alinifunza. And ikakuwa sawa. Because tena lazima ulearn juu uko job.
The school didn't give any form of training to teachers.
Kulikuwa na training, but training nayo ilikuwa online pia. Training iko but iko online. So even kujoin, link imetumwa, so you're like, now what do I do with this link? So alafu, you know. I know, right?
So how did you handle that transition
from 844? It was a struggle. I can tell you it's a struggle because you're used to, it's either I teach uelewe ama uelewe. You know, CBC, it's giving a child leeway. Take your time until you understand. I will use all the methods in the world until you understand. 844 nikuje nikufunze na this way or this way. We leo we shika yenye nimekushow, you know. But you realize kuna many ways. And I can tell you, like most of the time, you know, like for 844 it was teacher based. Teacher based ni ile, it was not learner centered, because teacher based ni ile teacher anakuja nasimama. Anafunza watoto waelewe. CBC, it is child centered. You give them work, unawaonyesha kidogo, then they learn through discovery. Like they find their own way of doing things. But then again, ukiangalia watoto, you're like, amfanyi vile inafaa, so you're tempted to, let me come and do it for you, nionyeshe hivi so that muelewe tumalizane na hii mambo, you know. Then for CBC, there's a lot of practicals. For practicals, I know most teachers feel like practicals inakulanga time.
Yeah.
Juu kuna syllabus unafaa kumaliza. Ina imesema you take your time na tena unaambiwa lazima umalize. So you find yourself doing 844. Juu CBC it is child centered na mtoto atafanya na time yake. Wewe kama mwalimu you have to cover, you know. So you find yourself CBC yenye anakuambia na what you're supposed to do kama azingiani. Another problem neti materials. Personally, if I were asked, mimi naweza sema like na feel CBC it was implemented before the government was well prepared. Simply because for me nilikuja nikaingizwa CBC. I was 844 trained. I was not CBC trained. You see, juu wenye walirudi wenye sasa wanafanya hakuna P1 certificate. So they are doing diploma in primary education. You see, so hao ndio wanafunzwa CBC. So mimi ukiniambia nini nikafunze CBC, I'm like ni nini hizi? Plus I feel like the content yenye watoto wanafunzwa sana let me just say for upper class kutoka 5-6 naweza sema hiyo content sometimes na feeling ni kama it's too much for them. Iko psycho level yao. You see, joto kiingia junior secondary ni ile kazi yenye tulikuwa tunasoma form 1 and form 2 ndio wanafanya sai. So even as a teacher you're like meta mkinipeleka kunifunza siwezi funza jana sikumbuki, you know. So that is another thing. And the fact that we don't have trained personnel and the materials, because sometimes you'll find the curriculum they're saying we have swimming. You know, schools do we have swimming? Do we have swimming pools? We do not have. You see, umeniambia nifunze mimi teacher wa PE nifunze swim. Do I know how to swim as a teacher? How will I explain to a child this is backstroke, this is breaststroke? Nilijulia wapi mimi mwenyewe, you know? Like because I believe the same curriculum ni yenye inatumika even everywhere in the country. You know, hata shule zenye ziko wapi ndio wanatumia. So it is favoring some children na ni watoto wenye wazazi wamejiweza. So what about ule mzazi mwenye they're still struggling in life nini because you see with 844 1+1 kila mahali nchi mzima 1+1 pi r squared the area of a circle. It's everywhere. It's things that you can see. When you talk about nutrition, ni kila mahali. Like, mtoto anajua we should have a balanced diet, carbohydrates, ni vitu umeona. Now tell me about swimming. You know? So I feel like there are gaps.
I'm wondering how that works, because I'm imagining in high school, for example, 844 system, there's a specific way you get to the answer. There are steps. There's a formula, you start that, and then you will get to the answer, but there's a specific way you're supposed to get to that answer.
Yes.
So I'm imagining how someone is allowed to discover, how will you discover, how I'm trying to see it.
To see how things happen. Because ukiangalia, and most of the time, easy vitu za discovery comes with practicals, not really like vitu kama hesabu. Hesabu nitakwambia, watoto wanafunzwa the 844 way. Vitu kama hizo ni 844 way, and then maybe you're given work, go try. Ni kama venye the teacher will say, let me give you an example. Vitu kama tuseme, we are learning about what can we say? And then waambia watoto go and research. Go and do research. You see, utaambia wende watafute maybe the type of maybe that thing unawaambia wende waangalie. Kitu wanaweza pata YouTube. You see,
I've noticed a lot they chat on YouTube a lot more.
Sana.
I don't know, when I talk to my younger cousins, YouTube, yes, I'll do that on YouTube.
YouTube.
Interesting. Okay. Wow.
For example, kama maybe wanafanya practical ya kushona. Chajui. Mimi nimepewa lesson, nafaa kufunza. Mimi hizo vitu sijui. So I'll be like, and then we research. Hakutakosa wawili watatu watajua. Hao wawili watatu wakikujua unawaambia sasa funzeni hao wengine.
Do you feel like it's pushing them to use their brains more, to engage their minds more than 844 did? Or because 844 was very straight. There's a formula, there's an answer.
Yeah.
This is how we do it. Done. There's no discovering.
Yeah.
So do you feel like this is engaging their minds more, CBC?
Yeah. I feel CBC, one thing I love about CBC, it helps the child to be creative. Because I remember I told children to go and draw, when you cut trees, what happens to the environment, and I want you to be creative. Some came drawing the world, and then inagawanishwa, this side imekatwa na kunakaa ni jungle, it's a desert, this side it looks green and kuna maji and people look happy, this one, and I was like, this is so creative. And you find these children are creative sana, of which 844 didn't give us. It's this, ni hii, become a lawyer, become a doctor, ukikuwa content creator ama DJ, una joke na life bwana.
You want to be a YouTuber.
Ati YouTuber ni nini unatuambia?
In your videos you seem to lean towards the use of song as a teaching methodology. How would you describe your teaching style, and what would you say informed it?
I realized the class that I had, any new song lazima wangekuja waniambie, teacher, ujui wimbo? Kwa nini ujui kudade? Kwa nini? Wanakuimbia di wana dance. And I realized, so it's not. Alafu when one person akianza, the rest, and you see, like, with the trends, whatever is there, the new sounds, they inform you pia wao kwa IG na TikTok. And I was like, you know what? This is what you love. This is what we will use to learn.
In a video where you taught your students the East African anthem, you talked about creating a sense of belonging. Could you kindly expound on this? Why is it important for students to have this sense of belonging? How does it affect well-being and academic performance?
Okay, now there's something I realized. The fact that children are most of the time online, you'll find them trying to do things the Western way. What about doing things in an African way? Let them embrace what we have, and let them understand, like, we are in East Africa. There's an anthem. We have our own anthem as a country, and we also have anthem, East Africa. And in this anthem, and you will find nataka kukumbuka one of the lines. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde. What is one way tuilinde? Don't cut trees, don't litter papers. Tuilinde. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. You see? And then there's a part where inasema uzalendo pia. Like it helps a child to know, like, this is we belong to East Africa. That you're in East Africa. Like, it gives someone that belonging. Nasituka moshiko mahali either African and East African ama Kenya national anthem, and then you feel some goosebumps. You're like, I'm a Kenyan. Yes. I know, right? Like, I'm a Kenyan.
When a Kenyan wins,
and
they play the anthem,
I know, right?
I want to run to Ethiopia screaming.
Like, there is that belonging. Like, najua mimi ni Mkenya. Like, mimi ni Gen Z. There is that. And that is why you'll find there are some people who take it personally to a point they can do anything for their country.